Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We finally did it. After over a year and a half of Lorcana content, I took a strategic 4-month break. And as a result, suddenly we have a new Lorcana card reveal, actually the first ever on my channel. So I'm very excited, and I want to say thank you to Ravensburger and Lorcana's community team for giving me and my community a card to reveal and discuss. For Lorcana Set 8, the Reign of Jafar. I know a lot of you just want to pop in and see the card, so I won't waste your time. Let's jump in right now. Today we have a brand new steel action card called Quick Shot. This is an uncommon card from the Lilo and Stitch IP with great artwork by Diego Machucha that shows Stitch delivering a quick shot with his plasma blaster. This is very on theme for a steel card, as this is a new tool for pinging damage. Quick Shot is a 2-cost uninkable action that reads, deal 1 damage to chosen character and draw 1 card. So there it is, a fun new addition to the current suite of steel damage actions. And although Quick Shot is pretty simple, I do think this card is playable and it may have more potential than you think. Let me break it down a bit more and talk about its competitive potential going into Set 8 and beyond. First, let's start with the obvious ding that I'm sure you're all thinking of. This is an uninkable card, so that will certainly play a part in its consideration when deck building. Early steel actions will always compete with each other, and almost always choices like Strength of a Raging Fire and Let the Storm Rage On take precedent because they are singable songs. Meanwhile, cards like Baboom sometimes see favor over Fire the Cannons because of its inkability. And this all means that even more niche choices like Twin Fire see even less play, as it's both unsingable and uninkable. Really, it's just a great general rule to have the removal in your deck be inkable. This means removal can be flexible and have a second use as a resource in scenarios where damage isn't needed. Storm and especially Strength are hard to beat. They're such strong cards in the game because of the ability to sing them starting on turn 2 in many different decks, or at the very least, curve out nicely being sung on turn 4. Now, to be fair, if Let the Storm Rage On wasn't a song, it probably wouldn't see much play, even though it does draw a card alongside its damage. Very similarly, Quick Shot provides damage and card draw, but trades that coveted singability for a cheaper cost while also dealing out 1 less damage. This does seem like a lot to lose, and it is, but to be fair, I think if any of these stats and values had been changed, the card would be instantly too powerful. If it were inkable, or a song, or did 2 damage, or drew 2 cards, any of those would have pushed Quick Shot a bit too far. So with that in mind, I think Quick Shot ends up being a very balanced card, which is wonderful to see. Now, when considering this new action for your deck, it's much more comparable to Fire the Cannons, another non-song, non-inkable action. Fire the Cannons is absolutely vital in certain metas where taking down Diablo, Flynn, Piglet, or other threats is critical. Quick Shot does cost more, technically twice as much, while doing half the damage, so it's much less flexible than Fire the Cannons, but it does have its uses. There are times when we see very meaningful upticks in characters like Sir Hiss, Cursed Merfolk, Sisu, and importantly, Vanish characters, which can be taken out by being targeted no matter the damage. And we already know we'll be seeing even more Vanish characters and Vanish support options in Set 8, especially in Amethyst Steel decks. If these cards rise up in priority or cause previous Vanish cards like Iago to continue to thrive, the idea of including Quick Shot in decks becomes quite tempting. And as far as we know, Set 8 could introduce additional popular 1 willpower characters as well, so Vanish characters aren't the only potential new target. There are other important uses for Quick Shot as well. Keep in mind that 1 damage can help a lot in Hidden Cove battles, where your typical 2 damage songs can't quite take down Diablos and such on their own. Plus, looking past Set 8 and into the future, the set rotation is going to change everything, and it's coming pretty soon. Just think about all that powerful competition I mentioned. Storm, Strength, Fire the Cannons, and Baboom, those are all going to be rotated out. And that's when Quickshot might really start to shine. We'll have to wait and see. Alright, well, before we wrap up here, I do want to talk through some specific decks that you're going to want to consider adding Quickshot into. First of all, let's talk Amber Steel. Quickshot is obviously overshadowed in a Steel Song deck by all of the Steel songs, but I have to mention it because any deck that deals damage and allows you to hit your own characters will synergize with Rapunzel, even if it's just 1 damage. I'm not saying this will become super common, it may never get played, but it does need to be considered, especially in lists that run 7 Dwarf's Mine, as 1 damage could be added on top of the Mine Ping in unexpected ways. Now, in terms of card draw, I suppose Quickshot does help out some ink pairings with its ability to draw a card. Some that come to mind are off-meta Emerald Steel lists and Ruby Steel lists. Ruby in particular still majorly struggles with card draw, so any additional card draw in Steel could help Ruby Steel decks, which are some of my favorite decks to build. Although I'm personally hoping for something else in Set 8 that can provide much better consistent card draw for Ruby Steel. That said, another exciting way to use Quickshot is in an Emerald Steel Ping deck. Decks with cards like Beast and Anna, or even Ring the Bell or Wake Up Alice, have a very natural synergy with cheap Steel actions. Of course, these decks historically haven't found enough power to push the deck archetype up to a high tier, but cards like Quickshot do help, at least a little bit. However, my absolute favorite deck that I can't wait to try Quickshot in is another Emerald Steel deck, this time a spicy pirate deck. One of my favorite off-meta decks in Set 7 is a non-song action deck that utilizes dual ink Mr. Smee Efficient Captain to ready up pirates, allowing cards like Smee Bumbling Mate or Pete Space Pirate to quest repeatedly. This particular deck welcomes Quickshot with open arms. It's a cheap non-song action that replaces itself. This enables this deck's unique combos perfectly. Of course, we'll see if this deck actually has potential once we see the rest of the cards available in Reign of Jafar, and honestly, I'm just happy that my reveal of Quickshot has given me an excuse to talk about such a fun off-meta deck. In reality, Quickshot feels a little underpowered, but I do expect it to see some play, and I'm very happy that I got to reveal it today as we continue to kick off the reveal season of Lorcana Reign of Jafar. Now, if you all are interested in more coverage of Set 8, especially deck lists and deck spotlights, make sure to let me know down in the comments and drop a like while you're at it. Either way, thank you for watching everyone, and until next time, peace.